I am back. My move is completed, so it's back to my regular voice and no longer an AI voice. I am going to run a quick scenario today. Let me see here. How do I do it? And Nuclear War Simulator is an update. It looks like they've added some long-term effects, which is something that's been highly sought after. So it'll be interesting to play around with it. I haven't had a chance to. I literally just got my stuff set back up. You can probably hear my wife in the background, still unpacking with packing paper. We have a ton of unpacking to continue to do. So if you haven't been following my other video series, I was relocating from Kentucky to Georgia for work-related purposes, and I am now in the new house, and we are mostly done, but still have a ton to unpack. So today's going to compare the highest yield conventional bombs versus the smallest nuclear bombs. And I've seen some comments online specifically about Moab, the mother of all bombs, and saying how it's comparable to a low yield tactical nuke. And so let's see. So the Moab has an explosive yield of approximately 11 tons of TNT. So it's not in the Nuclear War Simulator, but I went ahead and created it. Let's just change that to 0 height. Single detonation. Its yield is 11 tons, so 0.011 kilotons. And let's just go ahead and detonate it, and I'm going to choose this little section right here. And it's going to be a ground burst. Let's go ahead and calculate. So we see there, ground burst, 886 fatalities. This would be a pretty heavily populated area. Shouldn't be any fallout because I put it to 0. And so, quite a bit of casualties, 886. Let's take a look now. I'm going to restart. Empty scenario. And I'm going to choose the smallest yield nuclear weapon that's in the current U.S. arsenal. The smallest yield in the current arsenal of all time, it would have been the Davy Crockett recoilless rifle. But currently, it is the sub-launched W-76 6 kiloton nuclear warhead fired from the Trident 2 missile. These only were first deployed in 2019. And it's basically our attempt to get a lower yield tactical weapon, even though it's launched from what would be considered a strategic weapon, the Trident 2 missile, but the warhead itself is of a lower yield because it was a big gap in our capabilities. So let's go ahead and explode it at the ground level, surface burst, same location. You can probably tell from the visual already there's going to be a bit of a difference here. Let's go ahead and calculate our casualties. $18,236. Let's go just as comparison. The Moab, which is the largest conventional warhead that we have in our arsenal, cost roughly 4%, roughly 5% of the casualties that our smallest nuclear warhead did. And you see there is fallout, short-term effects, long-term effects. So they've added in cancer fatalities, the evacuated area. So it's saying there's 18,236 fatalities from the bomb, 3,888 cancer fatalities, and a 678 square kilometer area would have to be evacuated. Significant difference. So no conventional bomb is the equivalent of even the smallest nuclear weapons. Nuclear is a completely different level, and there'll never be a crossover threshold, at least not from conventional bombs as we know them right now, because they would simply become too large, too heavy to be a practical weapon. For instance, what is it? The Mother of all bombs has an 11-ton blast yield, and what does it weigh? About 18,739 pounds, the warhead. Check something real fast. Just as a comparison, and you have to apologize for the cough. We have an 18,000 pound warhead. The smallest one, nuclear warhead, smallest nuclear warhead is 209 pounds. So 4% of the casualties. 4% of the casualties, and what is that? Let's see here. I'm going to go back. So 4% of the casualties, and let's just do I'm rounding down. 4% of the casualties and 86 times the weight. And so the heavier the warhead, the less range, everything's going to be affected. So nuclear weapons work very effectively for what they're at. Unfortunately, that's both a positive and a negative, because they are very effective killing machines, and unfortunately that's why they it's a threshold that just can't be crossed. I mean, even most rational leaders would say that, but you know, they gotta have their nuclear saber rattling. So anyways, just a quick video as a comparison, that there is no comparison between the heaviest conventional weapons and nuclear weapons. I'm going to try to work on another video. I'm just starting a new job, and so I have a ton going on, but I'm going to be working more in command modern operations, but definitely want to play around with Nuclear War Simulator with these new effects, but I'm going to try to integrate the two as seamlessly as I can. Whatever. Integrate them as much as I can. And so definitely testing of the weapon systems and defense systems. So if you haven't seen it, check out the recent videos I did simulating the Iranian missile attack on Israel. I also have one about the effectiveness of missile defense. Did one with Moscow's anti-ballistic missile system against the U.S. Ohio-class ballistic missile sub. I've done one with the North Korean, I think, missile attack against the United States. Yeah, it's been a while. I'll tell you, just a few days of moving or a week of moving changes your perspective. So be on the lookout. Appreciate everybody. Gonna have a scotch and a nice succulent Chinese meal. This is Democracy Manifest. Thank you.